Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is Wednesday, and we have an absolutely explosive episode to break down. Grab your coffee and take a deep breath, because we need to talk about the absolute madness that just went down in Port Charles. And let me just say right off the bat, no pun intended, I swear, how dare they do this to James? How dare they? That poor, sweet, innocent kid. I mean, we all knew the Nathan West resurrection was a ticking time bomb. I've been watching this show religiously for over a decade, and I remember exactly how I felt when they first brought Nathan back. We were all suspicious, right? Am I the only one who thought it was way too easy? The DNA matched, the fingerprints matched. It felt like a miracle. But this is General Hospital. Miracles don't happen without a massive, soul-crushing catch. And the catch was Cassius Faison. Cassius Faison. Cesar Faison's other secret spawn. The twin brother who literally dug up Nathan's grave, cremated him, and stole his entire life. I still get sick to my stomach thinking about the logistics of that. But over the last few months, we've watched Cassius play house. We watched him bond with James. And the sickest part? The absolute most twisted part of this whole storyline? Cassius actually started to love that little boy. I know some people are loving this complex villain angle, but personally, I think it just makes the whole thing a million times more tragic. So, let's break down tonight's episode. We knew the walls were closing in on Cassius. Anna Devane, bless her brilliant, recovering mind, finally pieced it together in France. She told Felicia, the PCPD was getting suspicious. Plus, Ross Cullum, that absolute snake of a WSB director, had just given Cassius fatal orders to wipe out Jen Sidwell. Cassius was backed into a corner. He knew his time posing as Port Charles's favorite fallen cop was over. He had to run. He had to disappear. But he couldn't do it without saying goodbye to his Achilles heel. He risked his freedom, his life, everything, for one last bonding session with James at the batting cages. And I was sitting there, screaming at my TV, run! Just run, you idiot! But no, he had to take the kid to hit some baseballs. The atmosphere of that scene was just dripping with dread. The heavy thud of the baseballs hitting the backstop. The hum of the stadium lights. Cassius looking at James with this mixture of pure adoration and absolute panic, knowing that at any second his entire stolen life was going to implode. You could cut the tension with a knife. And then, the sirens. The flashing red and blue lights reflecting off the chain link fence. The PCPD swarmed the place. It was like a full-blown military operation. They had him completely surrounded in seconds. Nathan West, you are under arrest for identity theft and federal record tampering, they yelled. Just imagine being James in that moment. You're holding a baseball bat, looking up at your hero, and suddenly a SWAT team is pointing guns at your dad. It is so messed up on every single level. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about those charges. Identity theft and federal record tampering. They didn't even mention the kidnapping or the Cold Fusion Project or Ross Cullum's dirty WSB deeds yet. The PCPD just wanted him for stealing Nathan's life and hacking the federal fingerprint databases. And you could see the exact second Cassius realized it was truly over. There was no talking his way out of this. There was no fake DNA test that could save him this time. The charade was officially dead. This is where I completely lost my mind. In the middle of the chaos, with the police shouting orders and the sirens blaring, Cassius does the unthinkable. He grabs James. For a split second, I was terrified. I thought, oh my god, he's gonna use his own nephew as a human shield, 'cause he's a Faison, right? That's what Faisons do. They survive at all costs. But that's not what happened. What happened was somehow worse. So much worse. He pulls James close, right into his chest, and he whispers in his ear. And the audio dropped out for a second, just giving us that muffled, heartbeat sound, before we heard Cassius's voice, shaking, desperate, and cruel. He tells James the truth. The absolute, unfiltered, traumatic truth. I'm not your father. I'm Cassius Faison. I'm your uncle, and I stole your dad's life. I need to pause here because I am hyperventilating. Why? Why would you tell a child that in the middle of a police raid? Was he trying to set James free from the illusion? Was it a twisted act of love, so James wouldn't spend the rest of his life mourning a criminal? Or was it just pure selfish cruelty? Because he couldn't bear to leave without taking the fantasy down with him? I keep contradicting myself on this. One second I think Cassius did it to protect James from loving a monster, and the next second I think he's just a sadistic Faison who wanted to leave a scar. I mean, James just found out his dad isn't his dad. He found out his dad is still dead. And if that wasn't enough trauma for one night, If that wasn't enough to put James in therapy for the next 50 years, the writers said, "Hold my drink." Because right as Cassius pulls back, right as James is staring up at him with these wide, confused, horrified eyes, bang. A gunshot rings out from the shadows. Not from the PCPD, not from a cop, from the darkness beyond the batting cages. And we all know exactly who pulled that trigger. Ross Cullum, that slimy, murderous, dirty WSB director. Cullum knew Cassius was a massive liability. Cullum knew Cassius could expose the entire Spoon Island hostage situation, the Cold Fusion Project, the fact that Cullum killed Marco Rios, all of it. Cullum wasn't going to let Cassius get into a police interrogation room and start cutting deals. He was there to silence him permanently. The visual of Cassius collapsing is going to haunt my nightmares for weeks. He just drops right into the dirt of the batting cage. Blood pooling, the police screaming, drawing their weapons, searching the shadows for the shooter. But Cullum is a ghost. He's a trained WSB assassin when he needs to be. He took the shot and vanished into the night, leaving absolute devastation in his wake. And James, oh my god, James, standing there, frozen. He doesn't even cry at first. It's just pure, unadulterated shock. He just watched the man he thought was his father get gunned down in front of a dozen cops. And not only that, but the man he just watched die had literally seconds ago confessed to being an imposter who stole his real dad's identity. How does a child's brain even process that sequence of events? It doesn't. It shatters. I am so furious with Ross Cullum I could scream. This guy's been terrorizing Port Charles for months. He poisoned Britt Westbourne's medication. Thank God she got arrested in the BVI and didn't take it. But still, he's holding Jocelyn Jacks and Liesl Obrecht hostage at Windermere. He's hunting down Jack Brennan. And now he's executing people in public parks in front of children? When is someone going to take this guy down? Valentine is on his way to Geneva to talk to Z, the head of the WSB. But honestly, it can't happen fast enough. Cullum needs to pay. He needs to be locked in Steinmauer, and the key needs to be thrown into the harbor. Okay, back to the point. Cassius is bleeding out in the dirt. Is he dead? It looked like a kill shot. You don't take a sniper shot from a WSB director and walk away to tell the tale. But this is General Hospital. People survive worse. But honestly, I hope he is dead. I know that sounds harsh, but how could they ever redeem him after this? He cremated Nathan. He lied to Maxie. He traumatized James. There's no coming back from that. You don't just get a slap on the wrist for stealing a dead hero's life and tricking his family. Think about the ripple effects this is going to have. Maxie is going to lose her mind. She let this man into her home, into her son's life. The guilt she is going to feel is going to be astronomical. And what about Liesl? Poor Liesl Obrecht is currently locked up at Windermere. She literally just found out that she had twins, that Caesar Faison took one, and that Cassius has been posing as Nathan. When she finds out that Cullum, the man holding her hostage, just murdered her newly discovered son, hell hath no fury like Liesl Obrecht scorned. She is going to tear Cullum apart with her bare hands, and honestly, I hope she does. And what about Dante? He was just defending Nathan to ADA Justine Turner the other day. Dante is going to feel so incredibly betrayed. The entire PCPD is going to be turned upside down. They let an imposter walk their halls, access their files, and manipulate their cases. It's a massive embarrassment for the department, and heads are going to roll. I know some people are going to say, well, it's just a soap, things like this happen. But no, this feels different. This feels darker. Remember when they tried the whole imposter storyline with other characters? Yeah, didn't work then either, but this one actually had emotional weight because of James. They used a child's love for his father as a weapon. It is brilliant writing, I will give them that, but it is so incredibly hard to watch. I am dreading the next few episodes. We are going to have to watch James deal with this trauma. We are going to have to watch the fallout with Maxie and the PCPD. And we still have to deal with the Windermere hostage situation, the Cold Fusion Project, and whatever the heck Jen Sidwell is up to. Oh, and Jason is coming back on July 13th. Port Charles is literally exploding right now. I don't know if my heart can take it, but you better believe I will be glued to my screen tomorrow. I need answers. I need justice for James. And I need Ross Cullum to be taken down immediately. Seriously, am I the only one who feels this strongly? Tell me I'm not crazy. This show has me in a complete chokehold. I'm going to try to get some sleep. But let's be real. I'm just going to be lying awake thinking about that whisper. I'm not your father. Chills. Literal chills. General Hospital, you have broken me today.